First Peter 2:2. As newborn babes desire the pure milk of the word, that you may grow thereby, if indeed you have tasted that the Lord is gracious. See, we've come at a time where a lot of people just come to congregations and they warm pews, they warm seats, they sit down, but they don't take action into what they're hearing.
Yeah.
And when you have the knowledge of the truth that Yeshua was nailed to a tree to save you from iniquity, and that he took your sinful debt and paid it all in full, because the wages of sin is death. He paid it all in full, and he replaced your ashes for his beauty. And if you believe that with all you have, then what comes next is a hunger to learn who he is, to learn what he's done, to learn what he wants us to do. Meaning, hunger comes to not just occasionally read the word, the holy scriptures, but to absorb them daily. And by God's grace, once I accepted this truth, accepted the Lord, Yeshua, into my heart, I finished reading the Bible 8 months later. And I've read all of it because I was so hungry, because it was like I started becoming addicted. I needed it. I needed it every day. I just needed to know. When people told me things that I didn't know, it frustrated me because I wanted to know it for myself. So I read every book. There's times just starting out, I've read entire books in a day because I was so hungry and I didn't want to let it go. I spent hours just dissecting it and feeding myself this pure milk so I can be nutritionalized, so I can continue in my walk of faith. And I've seen so many people, young and old, completely deny the things that are in this book. And a lot of it's out of ignorance because they haven't read it for themselves. Where tithing is in Malachi, for instance. If you look at a woman to lust after her, you already committed adultery with her in your heart. Yet people are staring at women. Gazing at them when, in all honesty, they're just human beings. And I see men doing shameful things, women doing shameful things, that if they just read their Bible, they would be guided in that area of their lives. They would be guided spiritually, mentally. They would be guided from sexual sin. They would be protected because they know in the back of their hand what to and what not to commit. And yet, there's no desire. And if there's no desire, then there must be no relationship, to be honest. Because what I'm learning about marriage from watching people who are married and from learning from them and from studying books of people who are married, I've learned that marriage without communication leads to broken lives. That you need communication to build a marriage. You cannot have a long, enduring marriage without communication because there has to be a relationship built. So, with your best friend, there's communication. With your employer, with your rabbi or your pastor, with your children, hopefully, there's communication built. Hopefully, there's some sort of communication, because if there is none, there's no relationship. So applying that to this, because he is the giver of the ability to communicate. If you don't spend any time with the Lord how do you have a relationship with him? What you have is a broken life. Because there cannot be any foundation for a relationship without communication, without time devoted, invested, and spent in what you're communicating with. It's the same with reading the Holy Scriptures. If there is no reading of the Holy Scriptures, there is no foundation for you to build upon your relationship with the Lord, with Elohim. And if you have no foundation with Elohim, there will be no relationship. In a sense, there is no connection. And no matter how much pews you warm, ladies and gentlemen, no matter how many pews you warm, your Father in heaven would say, depart from me, I did not know you. So I urge you, pick up this word, pick up the Holy Scriptures, and commit to reading it daily. Because through constant communication, you will have that relationship with Him.